our country. And it is evidenced by an uptick in criminal activity spearheaded by gun violence. And I wish there was something else to take up our time. But it is what it is. And this is what we are getting. We're getting an uptick in violent crime, mainly gun violence. If you haven't heard yet, guys, if you haven't heard the news, then I will be telling you. There's been another shooting in St. Lucia. Fortunately, this individual has not died, but we don't know. We don't know what is going to happen. Because you see, this individual, and unfortunately it is another young woman, 21 years old. They're getting younger and younger, guys, younger and younger. Shot in the head last evening. Currently at the OKEU hospital, hanging on for dear life. What do we do, guys? And in order to answer that question for you, I went back to Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing. I went back to the Minister of National Security. I went back to try to make some sense out of this entire thing, try to figure out what is going on. But alas, no answers. The Minister of National Security provided me with no new ideas. In fact, if I were him, meaning Philip J. Pierre, I would probably have, threw his entire speech in the garbage bin. Every question asked was an opportunity for him to dodge, evade, deflect, and shift blame. So I guess now I have to ask you, the people, because we need answers in this country. Now, I don't know if you're aware as well, but earlier this week, the women, and I'm not sure what group of women they were, but I would like to offer them my wholehearted support and tell them how proud I am of them. The women of St. Lucia, if the men won't act, it seems the women will. And I want to applaud the women of St. Lucia. I want to applaud the women who organized this march that took place in the city a few days ago. This march took place, I think, earlier this week. I may be wrong on the timing, but I think earlier this week there was a march in the city in protest or asking for justice for Joy Saint Omer. And it was a night march. I don't know the reason for the timing of this activity, but I am extremely proud to call myself a St. Lucian woman, because I remember I was reading this biography of a African queen who was trying to incite her people to fight against invasion by the Caucasian colonialists. And I'm not sure if it was France or Italy. But this woman, after pleading to the men of the kingdom, the higher-ups, to fight back, without any luck, she stood up in an assembly and she said, and I quote, "If the men won't act, the women will." And that is what we saw earlier this week by the women of St. Lucia, and I am extremely, extremely proud. I am so proud. I wish that I had known about this sooner, because I would have been there right along with them. Because if you attack one of us, you attack us all. And I have to say, kudos to the women of St. Lucia for not allowing this to go unanswered. Somebody's asking about a homicide. It wasn't a homicide, because the young lady is still alive. She's in critical condition. She is holding on to her life, fighting for her life at the OKEU hospital. So, guys, our prayers are with the family and friends and loved ones of this young lady and with her. We don't know why she was shot in the head, guys. 21 years old, shot in the head. Thankfully, she is still alive. She is holding on. And we are going to hold her in our prayers, because the last thing we need is another homicide. The last thing we need in St. Lucia is another life lost. And I don't care what the Prime Minister says. I almost said Crime Minister. I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant to say. I meant to say Prime Minister. I don't care what anyone says. Something has got to give. Somebody has to stand up and say enough is enough. And again, I am proud of the women of St. Lucia who decided that the person to stand up would be them and the time would be now. And somebody sent me a video of the chants, and I found it very instructive what they said. Let me see if I can find this for you. The women of St. Lucia, they're not joking around, guys. If the men believe that they're going to do whatever they want, they're not. Listen to this. do we want justice? And when do we want it? Right now. So, the women of St. Lucia are putting you men on notice. That they are not going to take it. I want to know if the men of St. Lucia will not act. Because young men in St. Lucia, you guys are slowly going extinct. I don't know if you've noticed, but you guys are slowly but surely going extinct. This spate or uptick or rise or spike or hike and all the adjectives I can use to describe it of gun violence is not doing any of us any favors. Yes, the guns are getting in, and that we can blame the government for. Not having enough border control measures in place to secure our borders, that's their fault. Not having stricter penalties for persons who break the law, persons who are caught with these illegal firearms, persons who wield them. Yeah, we can blame the government for that. But you know what we cannot blame the government for, guys? We cannot blame the government for pulling the trigger. That one is on you. That one is on the individual who decides that they are going to take the law into their own hands, or they are going to be a gun for hire, or they are going to pull a gun in a moment of tension or anger. That is the person we blame. Do I think the government has a responsibility to ensure that the police are equipped and able to catch these individuals or to prevent these things from happening? Although I don't know how the police can do that, but they can catch these individuals when they do it. Yes. Do I think that the perpetrators of these crimes should face stricter penalties? And this is why I wholeheartedly agree with this petition, this call for the reintegration of the capital punishment into our laws. Because enough is enough, guys. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I was listening to two men speaking about this very march that I played. The younger one said, I applaud the women for standing up for what they believe in, but I have to ask myself, what exactly will it change? Nothing is going to change, because whether or not we call for the death penalty, whether or not we say enough is enough, whether or not we demonstrate, nothing happens. I mean, I agree with them, I applaud them, I support them, but what impact does this have? And I don't see it having any impact. And the older gentleman who he was speaking to said, I agree. Nothing will come of it. But personally, this guy needs to be hanged. Two men talking about this heinous crime, but both left doubtful that the voice of the public even matters. That's sad, St. Lucia. That's extremely sad. And before we go on, I want to thank all of you guys for being here with me today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. If you're joining us on the Fire 107.7 link, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the broadcast. And if you are on the Facebook platform, good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for joining the discussion. So, this is our topic for today, guys. I want to ask you, the public, what you think. Maybe that is why more St. Lucians were not out there on the street with those young women. Oh, well, with these women, I don't know. I couldn't see their faces. I couldn't tell. Do you guys believe that the voice of the public matters in these cases? Do you think that discussing the matters, talking about them, airing them out, bringing them to the attention of the entire country, do you think these discussions are impactful? Or do you believe, just like the two gentlemen who were speaking, that while they agree with people talking out, speaking out against injustice, are you doubtful that your voice matters? I think we are becoming complacent, St. Lucia. I think we are desensitized to the fact that these criminals are costing human life. Somebody's asking where and when the shooting occurred. If you're talking about the shooting where the young lady was shot in the head, that happened last evening in the Bois de Rouge area. We don't know much about it, but I'm told that the police have apprehended a suspect. So we're waiting for more information or an update from the authorities. But the young lady who was shot in the head, she survived, but she is in critical condition at the OKEU hospital. She's 21 years old, guys. 21 years old. Could you believe it? 21 years old. So I put the question to you, St. Lucia. Do we continue to speak out in the hopes that our voices will eventually be heard? or do we say nothing? I personally believe that our voices are impactful. I personally believe that the harm comes when we say nothing. Because listen, if we did not speak out, I think it would be worse. I think the politicians, the powers that be, they respond when the people speak. They might respond slowly. They might show some bravado. But I believe truly that they respond. This crime situation, it is quickly getting out of hand. Well, it's already out of hand. But I believe that there are men and women in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force who are dedicated and who they want to ensure that their country is safe. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe there are men and women in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force right now as we speak who are working tirelessly, burning the midnight oil to get these guns, or to attempt to get these guns off the street, or to solve these crimes. But like I said, we can blame the government for not implementing stricter policies, stricter punishments, stricter laws. For not implementing measures to keep these guns off our streets, shore up our porous borders, provide all kinds of security and equipment to the police. We can blame the police for not being diligent enough in their investigations. But we cannot blame them for pulling the trigger. That responsibility rests with us. And we need to change our mindset, St. Lucia. We need to realize that these individuals are not mosquitoes. We need to realize that this upsurge of crime, violent crime, somebody said on the live that there was a chopping in Dennery. I'm not sure, but the fire service did send me some reports. I guess I will have to go through them, and I will play them for you on the air, because I need you to know what's going on in our country. This is on us, St. Lucia. We are the ones who can make a difference. We are the ones, every single one of us, all hands on deck. We are the ones who need to change our mindset, who need to start having respect for human life again. We need to stop saying or pretending that a human being is just like a mosquito, that you can just swat them out of existence. Because I don't know what else to say. We've already lost so many of our young men. And now it seems that we are losing our young women as well. Something's got to give. It has to stop. So, if you are a respected person in your community, if you're not afraid to have a conversation with the boys on the block, the young women that are growing up around you, it's time that we show these individuals another way. All hands on deck, St. Lucia. And I know as I'm saying this, there are some people who say, Mwen mem. Mwen kay pale bay se moun sa ki hapli gwan peye mwen. Se moun na hani gan yo. Dele mwen di yo bay, mwen di wrong bagay like mwen twape ko mwen. En ka bal pa mwen. But if we continue to think that way, if we continue to let the bobo fester, could you imagine? Could you imagine what St. Lucia would be in the next 10 years? Guys, if you are walking through the streets of Castries after 7 o'clock at night, do you know that the city is all but deserted? Our capital city. At 7 o'clock in the evening, 7 p.m., you can hardly get a bus on certain bus stops. Everywhere is closed in the city. Everything is dead. There are no people or hardly any people walking the streets. And if you see people walking the streets, they are hurrying, rushing to get out of the city. You can't find bus on the ancillary bus stop. Sarat Millet bus stop, deserted. Dennery bus stop, no bus, but sometimes a few sparse groupings of people, because let me tell you, I don't think people are staying late in the city anymore. Viewford bus stop, oh la la. Even the Grosley bus stop, the one that has the most movement, it is becoming deserted. I've spoken to some bus drivers who tell you that once 6 o'clock hits, they park their vehicles. They try their best to make their last trip, and then they go and they park. Now, you wonder why our economy is slowing to a halt, is grinding to a halt? There's no activity. There is no activity. The bus drivers are not going to run past 6 o'clock because they're afraid of getting robbed. And if there's no reliable transportation system, when people leave work, the first thing they think of, heading straight home. I don't want to get caught up in a hail of bullets. I don't want to stand up in a crowd because you don't know who they're coming for, and you don't want to be there when the bullet starts so you can catch a stray bullet. So, what do? As soon as it's closing time, as soon as you knock off, you cut it. Even Jeremy Street, guys. Jeremy Street. The street that I would have sworn never sleeps in St. Lucia. Even Jeremy Street is deserted at night. Of course, you're going to see a few sparse people, those that live in the area, in the CDC buildings. Of course, you're going to see people who are stopping by some of the various food vendors while they're on their way to or from work. You might even see a small group of people waiting for bus on the Bexar bus stop or the Grosley bus stop. But the Jeremy Street Plaza, all but deserted. The little rum shops under the CDC, all but deserted. This needs to stop. Now, some may say that the government needs to change itself. And I agree. Lead by example. The Prime Minister needs to take a stance. But guys, we're already seeing that we are on our own. I told you I went back to the pre-cabinet press briefing, right? I went back to the pre-cabinet press briefing to see if maybe I missed something in the Prime Minister's speech. I heard a reporter ask the Prime Minister about the death of the 24-year-old young man in Basse Joseph. The Prime Minister said, "Oh, I didn't even know. I'm so sorry." But then at the end of his presentation, he couldn't give any new insight into crime. But at the end of the presentation, the Prime Minister said, "Oh, there's a good friend of ours who died. His name is Kulide." Guys, let me tell you something. I am not knocking the Prime Minister acknowledging Kulide at all. Kulide was a long-standing member of the community, a pillar of the community. Once I saw this man run down the stairs to intercept a thief who had stolen a phone from a young child who was a customer in his shop. This man, I think once he received a medal. I'm not sure if it's a St. Lucia Medal of Honor, but he was honored once for his work in the community. Of course, we must acknowledge his passing. And of course, the Prime Minister is right to acknowledge someone who has given of themselves to community service. But don't the individuals who are losing their lives due to crime and violence matter? Because we can't avoid somebody getting sick and dying, but we can avoid having guns on our streets, right? And maybe that's what's needed. And a lot of people will not do what I'm suggesting. But like I said earlier, maybe more of us need to normalize mentoring these young men and women who don't seem to have any direction before it's too late. Well, maybe I should say it's already too late, and better late than never. But something has to give. Something has got to give. I promised to play you the report from the fire service. So, forgive me, guys. I seem to be having a bit of a technical issue right now. Oops. There it is. Let me play you this report from the St. Lucia Fire Service. The voice that you will be hearing is Officer Cherise John. She is a communications officer of the St. Lucia Fire Service, and she will provide us with more accurate information on what transpired. So let's listen.
On Thursday, 4th June 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at 10:08 p.m. to a gunshot wound incident at Bois de Wash, Jersey. On arrival at the scene, an adult female was found lying on her side with multiple penetrating wounds about her body. She was transferred into the ambulance, treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. On Thursday, 4th June 2026, officers of the St. Lucia Fire Service responded at 8 p.m. to a motor vehicular incident involving a vehicle which veered off the road at Shock Castries. On arrival at the scene, a vehicle was found engulfed in flames, pinned against a tree near the roadside. It was reported that there were 2 occupants in the vehicle at the time. The fire was extinguished with no loss of life. On further assessment, an adult male and female, the occupants of the vehicle, were found at the roadside. They were both assessed, treated with complaints of body pain, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. The scene was handed over to officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
Wow, so I was under the impression, guys, that's why you need to get your information from the official sources. Thank you, St. Lucia Fire Service. I was under the impression that the young lady was shot once. We're hearing now from the fire service that she was shot multiple times. And according to an update that I received earlier, she is in critical condition. At the OKU hospital, fighting for her life. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I am going to open up the phone lines because I need to hear from you, the public. We need to hear how you feel about speaking out. I think it's interesting to note how the public feels. Do you think that us speaking out about these incidents has an impact? Or do you believe that it is an exercise in futility? And while speaking out, while you might agree with speaking out, but you don't see what benefit or what impact it has. We'll be right back. And as soon as we get back, we're going to hear from you, how you feel on these situations. Stay tuned.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You licked your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You licked your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You licked your floors, even licked your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And Licks those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Color Safe Bleach. Licks went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you Licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Week. Available at all leading supermarkets.
the summer heat with a relaxing glide down those over with your cares at hand as you immerse yourself in the tranquility of nature. Kids home from school, no problem. Take them home. Get an adventure. St. Lucia Banner Rafting introduces its summer water special. Start with the welcome cocktail to set the mood. Then enjoy a 90-minute guided tour and drinks for your refreshment. Tours start from 9:30 a.m. and last every 2 hours with the last tour at 3:30 p.m. Adults pay 100 EC per person. Kids ages 5 to 11 years old, 50 EC. We are located in the Rosa Valley, next to St. Lucia Distillers. For reservations, call 1-750-2020. Don't forget to like St. Lucia Valley Rafting on Facebook and Instagram. St. Lucia Valley Rafting. Let us take you from stressed to relaxed in 90 minutes flat.
Pretty soon my life will be gone in the hands of
Fire FM 107.7 presents Full Disclosure. A hard-hitting political program bringing you the facts on political issues. Hosted by Foster Chico every Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. on Fire FM 107.7. Call us at 758-572-3473. It's Full Disclosure this Monday and every Monday 4 to 7 p.m. with Foster Chico.
Looking for a new way to enjoy your St. Lucian vacation? Book a tailor-made tour with Seabreeze Adventures. Explore the island's untouched natural beauty as you visit hidden coves and beaches along the coastline with any one-of our whole or half-day excursions. We offer a variety of adventure opportunities including sport fishing, sunset cruises, island adventures, whale and dolphin watching, and water taxi service. To book, contact Captain Warren at telephone number 1-758-713-3196. Seabreeze Adventures, not just a tour, but an adventure. You're back on Fire 107.7 FM, and this is Hardtalk. Somebody's saying the reception is not good. I don't know what you mean by that. Please elaborate. Don't know what you are saying. But welcome back to Hard Talk here on Fire 107.7 FM. And before we open up the phone lines, I just want to give the persons on the Facebook platform a voice. Several individuals coming in, and somebody says once it's a head injury, there's a slim chance of survival, but we are hoping for the best anyway. I think that's how everyone feels, and my heart goes out to the family and friends of this individual. Somebody saying how is nighttime, they have the march. I don't know what the particulars were for that march that was held earlier this week, but I guess that was the time that they were able to secure the permission. I don't know. I can only venture a guess. Somebody says these young men need prayers. Well, I think we should start praying for them. Praying for them. Somebody says, you're right, there are good men and women in the police force, but there are a few bad apples. Well, I think there are bad apples in everything. I mean, just look at our cabinet of ministers. If there are good men and women in there, maybe. Are there bad apples? I would guess definitely. Somebody says, I do agree that there are very nice and honest police officers. We do the same and say that there are corrupt, let me read that again. there are corrupt, dirty, and nasty attitude ones also. Another says, Angie, the government needs to take a stand. And when I say the government, the people, they need to send a message to the servants who are working in our parliament to put things in place, to put the necessary things in place so we can get these guns out of the hands of these young men and women. Somebody says the citizens are running out of town, 16-1, and that's how our city has become. Things are really getting hot under Labour. Somebody says, I don't think in the cabinet has any good ones. Aye. So guys, the phone lines are open. 572-3473. We are experiencing some technical difficulty with our landline. For some reason, when you call, it rings in the outer office and not here in the studio. But I think Flo is working on it, so we should have this rectified as soon as possible. But in the meantime, please feel free to take advantage of our WhatsApp platform. Our WhatsApp line is up and running with no issues. The number to call, 572-3473. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do we keep talking? Do we keep agitating? Or what's the alternative? Because personally, I think that airing these issues out has an impact. How do I know? Because when I hear the Prime Minister go on the talk shows, go on the pre-cabinet press briefing, and vilify the talk shows. When I hear him say that, the answers to our crime problem cannot be found on a talk show, I know that these talk shows are pricking him. They are keeping him up at night because we won't stop discussing the issues that matter. We won't allow him and his cabinet to get away with doing bare minimum. We demand action. And it infuriates him that we continue to do so, no matter what. So does it have an impact? Yes, in my view, it does. But where we need the impact felt is on the streets. And this is why I will advocate for mentorship for our young men and women. And I know, a lot of people are thinking these new breed of individuals that we have coming up these days, these new millennium kids, these 2020 kids, they are not easy. They don't take correction. I don't blame you for not wanting to speak to these youngsters because in your mind they're already gone. They're a lost cause. But I think if we continue to view them in that way, that we are simply participating in a self-fulfilling prophecy. What does that mean? In psychology, there is a term called the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe something, then it is more likely to come true. If you believe that you're not going to make it in a certain field that you are in, chances are you're not going to make it, because you have already defeated yourself. That is why the Bible speaks about sinning in thought, words, and deeds. And there's a saying, watch your thoughts, because they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. And watch your habits because they become your reality. And a lot of people are saying, a lot of older folks, they shy away from speaking to these youngsters. They shy away from having conversations with them because they believe that these young people are not going to listen to them. They're going to dismiss them. They're going to be disrespectful. And chances are you are right. Chances are when you have that first conversation, the answer you will get is, but who are you to tell me that? But do we shy away from these conversations? Do we not offer guidance to these young people? Do we not start with those we have at home, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins? I was never more proud. I have conversations with my daughter all the time. And sometimes she dismisses me. Sometimes she's like, oh, you're too old school. I was having a conversation with her just recently, and that was the response I got. Mommy, you are too old school. Meaning that what I was saying to her didn't apply anymore. And then my sister, my younger sister, asked the question, what is your mom saying to you that you think is old school? And when I told her what I was saying, my sister was like, but this isn't old school. This is method, and I've learned a lot. She's explaining. So these young people that you see on the block, they might very well dismiss you as being old school. But I was never more proud when a day I overheard a conversation between my daughter and some of her friends, and they were talking about certain things that I had spoken to her about. And she was saying to her friends, listen, my mother always says this, that. And I'm pretty sure if I go and speak to my mother about this, she's going to say that. That's why I don't behave in that way. My heart swelled with pride. They listen, they hear you. And when the time comes, they recall the information. Sometimes I think what these youngsters need is a little guidance. And you may not need to go out on the block to make a difference, you know. Start with those in your own family. We have to start somewhere. We have to, the government is not helping us. The police are swamped in over their heads, treading water but trying their best to make headway. The churches are empty. So even if they preach the good word, nobody hears it. It's up to us, St. Lucia. We have to fix this. We need to bring back mentorship. We need to speak to these young people, especially the ones in our families, the ones in our homes. And yes, they will dismiss you. They will dismiss you at first. But they hear you and it registers in their subconscious. Because what else are we going to do? Think about it, St. Lucia. What else are we going to do? If we say nothing, if we do nothing, what is going to change? Nothing. And we need a change. We need something to change. We need something to give. Things are already hard enough. Guys, do you understand what we are facing? I don't know if you guys have put all the pieces together to look at this picture that is St. Lucia. We're being squeezed by both sides. We're facing a cost of living crisis. increase in the price of fuel at the pump, increase in the surcharge for generating electricity, increase in the cost of goods on supermarket shelves, and this is not the end of it. Because the bus drivers are already saying that they will soon be seeking an increase in bus fare. Wasco is already seeking an increase in water rates, even if they are not providing the service that we are already paying for. They want us to pay more for poorer service. You think it's going to stop there? Guys, it's not going to stop there. Flow and Digicel might very well increase their rates, because if they're paying more for water, if they're paying more for electricity, somebody's got to give. They might pass on these increases to the consumer, meaning you and me. We have poor health care, doesn't seem to be getting any better anytime soon. I don't even know what's going on in the education department. And I'm hearing, and this is a doozy, guys, and I have to ask the question, because we're facing poor infrastructure, poor roads, bad lighting, no markings. I saw a video over the weekend, someone showing how shoddily a bridge over a fast-moving river was built. The railings on that bridge, how shoddily they were built. And the individual is saying, if a vehicle hits those railings, they're not going to stop the vehicle from going off the road. But sources say, and I have to ask the question, is it true that no projects are coming from the Ministry of Infrastructure anymore? Is it true that all works, meaning projects and infrastructure upgrades and maintenance, infrastructural maintenance works, is it true that they are all coming from the office of the Prime Minister? And why would that be the case? What is the rationale behind this development? Has the Prime Minister usurped the powers of the Minister of Infrastructure? Does this show a lack of confidence in the minister's ability to do his job? Or is it that the Prime Minister has another agenda for taking control of the job of the Minister of Infrastructure? Inquiring minds would like to know. Because I recall back in the last UWP administration, everyone had a problem with Mr. Guy Joseph, who at the time was the Minister of Economic Development, showing up to a disaster, and of course I'm referring to the road collapse in the Badlil due to heavy rainfall. I remember the hue and cry of This same Prime Minister, back when he was in opposition, and his colleagues accusing Guy Joseph of usurping the power of then Minister of Infrastructure, Stephenson King. Now the shoe is on the other foot. Has the Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, usurped the powers of his Minister of Infrastructure, Sean Edwards? Inquiring minds would like to know, because I'm finding out from confidential sources within the ministry that all works, all projects are now coming from the Prime Minister's office. Why is that? Is there any truth to this? Or is it only wrong when this crop of ministers does it? And I would like the Prime Minister to answer this question for me, because I know he listens to the talk shows. Mr. Prime Minister, what's going on? What is going on? Does this signify a lack of confidence in the prowess and capabilities of your Minister of Infrastructure? Is that why our roads are in such a dilapidated mess? Is this why the Millennium Highway project is going on 7 years? Because let's not forget, 1 year, it started 1 year, 1 year before the end of the Alan Shastney regime, went through 5 years of your first term, and is still ongoing because it has not been handed over officially. What is going on, Mr. Prime Minister? What is going on? Anyway, guys, so not only are we facing all of these issues, but we're now dealing with an ever-increasing crime problem. You see what I'm saying? And let's not forget, in the midst of all of these problems and hardships and uncomfortable situations, we now are dealing with an infestation of venomous snakes. Snakes are being sighted in the city for the first time since the city has been developed, because maybe in the time of the Arawaks and Caribs that used to be a traditional home for the snakes. We don't know. We've sighted snakes in Masha, Grass Street, Jeremy Street, Bois d'Orange, Moshi, places that snakes are not normally found. All of that. And now we have a crime problem. And somebody's talking about the snakes on here. Somebody says, Angie, I'm sorry, but I was reading that the Fedila snake gives live birth to from 40 to 60 babies. All these years, this one among the boa has been multiplying. And when it bites people, they die before treatment. I am in the diaspora, and I am anxious. This is worrying me about this investigation. It cannot be just cleaning your surroundings will solve the problem. How would the farmers start back planting on farms that are left to follow for years because of the banana issue? I don't know. I don't know, but something has to give. Somebody says, these are Tinubu snakes. I don't know if those snakes are Nigerian, but I know that the Fedilas is only found in St. Lucia. It's endemic to this island. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, guys, and you guys just ponder on what I'm pondering. Think about what I'm thinking about. And I want to hear from you when we get back.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You Licks your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You Licks your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You Licks your floors, even Licks your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And Licks those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Cutter Scent Bleach. Licks went even further with Bondi Care body soap bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you Licks? Then choose Licks from Canadian Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Summer heat with a relaxing ride down the nose. With your cares behind as you immerse yourself in the tranquility of nature. Kids home from school, no problem. Take them all down the getting an adventure. The St. Lucia Valley introduces its summer special. Start with a welcome cocktail to set the mood. Enjoy a 90-minute guided tour and a cooler filled with drinks for your refreshment. Tours start from 9:30 a.m. and meet every 2 hours with a last tour at 3:30 p.m. Adults paying 100 EC per person. Kids ages 5 to 11 years old, 50 EC. We are located in the Rosa Valley, next to St. Lucia Distillers. For reservations, call 1758-720-2020. Don't forget to like St. Lucia Valley Rafting on Facebook and Instagram. St. Lucia Valley Rafting. Let us take you from stressed to relaxed in 90 minutes flat.
Pretty soon my land will be gone in the hands of
Fire FM 107.7 presents Full Disclosure. A hard-hitting political program bringing you the facts on political issues. Hosted by Foster Chico. Every Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. on Fire FM 107.7. Call us at 758-572-3473. It's Full Disclosure this Monday and every Monday 4 to 7 p.m. with Foster Chico.
Looking for a new way to enjoy your St. Lucian vacation? Book a tailor-made tour with Sea Breeze Adventures. Explore the island's untouched natural beauty as you visit hidden coves and beaches along the coastline with any one of our whole or half-day excursions. We offer a variety of adventure opportunities, including sport fishing, sunset cruises, island adventures, whale and dolphin watching, and spotted taxi service. To book, contact Captain Warren at telephone number 1-758-713-3196. Sea Breeze Adventures, not just a tour, but an adventure. Welcome back to the broadcast. This is Hardtalk here on Fire 107.7 FM. And we are listening or discussing all of the hardships that St. Lucia seems to be dealing with at this moment. From snake infestations to high cost of utilities. We're facing an increase in water rates and possibly bus fares, increase in fuel prices, and an uptick in crime. Now, what can we do, St. Lucia? Because I think this is the time where we need to stop looking to the politicians to get the job done. If they could have done it, guys, they would have done it already. So I put this question to the people. What can you do for your country at this time? And do you think, speaking about these situations, airing them out, clamoring for justice, do you think it has an impact? We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon to you, Angie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, hanging in there. Angie,
Mm-hmm.
because of the state of the country, and I listen to you attentively, and it's just, every day is just a problem with our country. When you think we done with one issue or one problem, in comes another. And so I've made a decision that I will be taking part, I'll be putting my name in the old mass, you know, the old mass section.
For Carnival, caller?
I'm putting my hat in the ring. I will be taking part. Full disclosure, I will be Ian Cauldron will be taking part in All Mass this year. And guess what will be my guess what I'll be depicting this year.
I wonder. Don't let the cat out the bag, though. Don't let the cat out
No,
the bag.
I can say full disclosure here. I have no secret.
I think it should be a surprise. Don't put it out. Don't let it out. Don't let it out. Let me be your publicist in this matter. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Let the people see what you come up with. Let them see your creativity.
Yeah. But I have taken a conscientious decision to join the Old Mass section and to participate because it's just mess, I'm saying. The country is like a circus. It bleeds and it breaks my heart for me to refer to my country as such.
Yeah.
But when I look at the realities, what's happening in the country, it gives me no choice but to come to draw that conclusion. I want to again extend my I hope that the young lady who got shot last night I was told she got shot somewhere in her head. She's fighting for her life now at the ICU.
Yeah.
I hope that she pulls through, and that she survives and what have you, because that will be another travesty. God forbid if this young lady succumbs to her injury.
Yeah.
And on the heels when we were talking about Miss Santoma,
Yeah.
Joy Santoma, which is not even 2 weeks away ago when that incident occurred, the murder, the homicide.
Yeah.
And then we see the situation with the young lady last evening. From what I'm seeing on social media, the information coming out is that she's 21 years old.
Yeah. That's what we're hearing.
And I have a daughter who's 21. And when I saw that, I right away, you start to ponder, you start to think deep. This is a young lady who is in her prime, 21, and right now she's fighting for her life in ICU. Samisha, again, let me just be clear. Let me set the record straight, because you see some people, when you speak, Angie, they will twist and they misconstrue what you're saying. We're not saying it's Philly JPA or the cabinet of ministers sending people to do crime. We're not saying that. Don't ever get that impression. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you elect governments, and I sorry, Angie, and your listeners, I'm boring with those. I say the same thing over because nothing has changed and nothing is changing.
Yeah.
You elect a government to protect you, St. Lucia. That is their job.
Yeah.
First and foremost, to protect the country. National security is a two vital things that the country hinges on: national security and healthcare. If you do not have a proper, healthy population, if you do not have a safe country, everything around you collapses. I don't know if you agree with me, Angie.
I do, because we're seeing the results. If you, like I was saying earlier, If you walk through the city on any given day after 7 p.m., you cannot tell if it's a Friday, if it's a Monday, if it's a Tuesday, if it's a Sunday. It's just dead. Every day. You can't tell if it's a work day or holiday. It's dead. The city is deserted.
The city is deserted because the people in the country don't feel safe. They don't want to hang around. They have all those rum shops there, cabarets there, and bars and what have you. But they're not staying there. Now, your city is supposed to be one of the liveliest places in any one given country. You go to the United States, you go to New York, Manhattan is buzzing with activity. You go to whatever country. You go to Barbados, Bridgetown is buzzing, particularly on the weekend of activity. And I'm sure any other country. But like you're saying, you're reporting here, and I know what you're saying is true. Cash Street is like a ghost town. People not feeling safe. And when people do not feel safe in the country, that is... You understand?
Hold on, caller, you cut out there for a minute. Could you repeat what you said? Please? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, can you?
I can hear you better, yes. But could you repeat what you said earlier?
I said when people are fearful, when people are scared, apart from the emotional stress that it takes on them, there's a psychological stress toll that it takes on them, because they have to be constantly thinking of who's next. They have to be constantly looking over their shoulder just to ensure that I am not the next victim. That in itself is a psychological issue.
Yeah.
And that should not be, because we have people in authority. We have government ministers. We have ministers of national security, home affairs, crime prevention. We have a police department that's supposed to protect people. That people, when they walk on the street, in past streets, whatever part of St. Lucia, they feel safe. But we're not getting that. So you have a situation where crime is out of control. Healthcare is in shambles. As far as I'm concerned, healthcare right now is like a septic tank in St. Lucia. It's really messy. So you cannot even talk about healthcare. So what do we have as a country to show? I mean, on a side issue, I mean, you have Julian Alfred making us proud. I mean, she won the race yesterday.
Yes, guys. We need to highlight that. We do need to highlight that Miss Julian Alfred won a 200-meter women's race in the Diamond League. Was it in Rome yesterday?
Yeah, the Diamond League in Rome. And she's making us proud as a country. But are we making Julian Alfred proud?
Yeah.
I hasten to say no. When I say we, I mean the authorities, those we elect in government. Are we making her proud? Because she's going out there, Julian Alfred, she's putting in the hard work, she's winning her races, her events, she's putting St. Lucia on the map. But that Julian Alfred achievements and what she's bringing to the country, it is sad that it's going to waste, because when she puts all that effort and gives us as a country the recognition on the world scene, on the world stage, we in St. Lucia are making it messy.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, Angie?
I do, because when people, several individuals came to St. Lucia after she won that gold medal, they said they wanted to see her home. They wanted to know where St. Lucia was. Now, these people, they go and they Google St. Lucia, and what do they see? What do they see? Crime, violence, political, I don't want to say political upheaval, because I don't think the politicians are bothered, because they are safe. They are safe.
No, the politicians are not bothered, because let me tell you, they have a few government ministers who have 2 and 3 bodyguards.
Yeah.
2 and 3 bodyguards, so they feel safe when they have their home, and mind you, it's at our expense, because I understand some of those bodyguards are police officers that were detailed to secure them. So wherever they go, except going to the toilet, I guess, or the bathroom, their bodyguards are there, so they feel safe. So it's you and I, the common man, who have to walk the streets, who have to go to the different lengths and breadths of St. Lucia, who are the ones not feeling safe.
Yeah.
And what do we do? We do that as a people? No. Because we pay our taxes. We pay those government ministers' salary and those officials, the commissioner of police, and etc. etc. We are the ones paying their salary, and they're not doing the job. And I'm not blaming the police, I'm not blaming the police because the Royal Seneca Police Force that we have, they take the cue from the electorate, from the cabinet of ministers who has to put in the policy, make the policy decisions, and pass it on to them. And if they're not getting the resources, and when I say resources, I don't mean more vehicles and what have you. We have done that before and it's not working. I mean, serious resources have to be pumped into the Royal Seneca Police Force to make it viable. And I gave you suggestions a few weeks ago. I gave the Prime Minister, rather, Angie, suggestions as to how to start. First of all, again, the whole idea of appointing a commissioner of police in St. Lucia, in my mind, is flawed. I believe you should have a St. Lucia Police Commission. You want to be a commissioner of police, you apply to that commission, they look at your CV, and they make the recommendation to the parliament, and the parliament votes on it. So no commissioner of police, in my view, should be subservient to any politician. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, Angie. Hello?
I agree. But I also believe that we should vote, or we should advocate for the removal of the security detail from the Minister of National Security and the Minister of Home Affairs and the Minister of Crime Prevention. I believe if these individuals were a little less safe, they would feel what we feel and they would understand what we are feeling, and then they would begin to work. That is my take on it. But I do agree with some of the things you're saying. But that's my
take.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, Angie, who feels it knows it.
That's right.
So you have to be in a situation.
So they need to feel it. They need to feel it so that they know it, and maybe then they will act.
Exactly. For example, some government ministers have to face OKEU. They have to face the fact that when they go there after there's an emergency, they see a urinal at the front entrance of the door. They have to see these things.
Yeah.
Understand when people call those talk shows, when people call Hardtalk, your program, your talk show, and they complain, they have to understand and feel it to make the change because they don't care. When government ministers, most of them, Angie, fall sick, the automatic thing they do is tap you, and if they can tap you is limited, cannot do nothing much for them, they fly them to Martinique at our expense.
Well, you know what, caller? I think the Minister of Health should not have that privilege.
I agree. Because let me tell you, there was once a press secretary, and that is factual. She fell ill, and everybody can fall sick at some point in time, so I'm not knocking anybody's illness. She fell ill. She was flown to Martinique. And who paid that bill? The taxpayer.
The taxpayers. Yep, the taxpayers.
The taxpayer played that press secretary was once a press secretary. She fell ill, and I am thankful that she recovered and she's doing well. But at the end of the day, who foot that bill? The taxpayer to foot that bill. So I'm saying, in a nutshell, national security, crime is out of control.
Yeah.
Government ministers, they don't seem to care. I don't see any sense of urgency. Even when they speak, it's just cosmetic. It's just a put on because they have to do it. But you don't sense any emotion or any seriousness in tackling crime. Healthcare is just a talk. Up to now, and you telling me that in 2026, people still at the George Otman Stadium, that was not supposed to be a hospital in the first instance, and nobody saying anything, and Emma Hippolyte and Philip J. James, the Prime Minister, gave timelines, dates as to when that hospital, that St. Jude Hospital, will be opened. And you know what happened? The excuse is now we give you a building, and up to almost a year since the Prime Minister made that revelation that I gave you a building, but it will take some time to commission or open the hospital. Almost a year, we are left no better. We have no hospital, and people just sit quietly in St. Lucia and keep their mouth shut and say nothing.
Well,
when people fall sick, when you go, that same St. Jude will have to face that nightmare. Whilst government ministers have the privilege, if they have the money and the contacts, when they fall sick, when they have a little headache, either Martinique or Miami, they fly them to. Whilst you, the poor people, have to face that nightmare. I mean, Senator, we can do better than that. I'm saying, full disclosure, because of the situation in the country, I will be a participant in the Ulma section this year. Have a blessed day, Angie.
You too, caller. Well, that's one person who does not believe that not speaking out has no impact. Over to the Facebook platform, person is saying Sean Edward has done nothing. Oh, we have another call on the line right away. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, caller?
Angie, I'm good. I'm doing good, Angie. But I have a question for you, Angie.
Go ahead.
Do you really believe we should those guys deserve the merit for calling them politicians?
Caller, that's a hard question.
Well, Angie, I'll answer that question for you. I do not believe they deserve the merit of being called politicians. I for one can call them crooks.
I think they are, caller, hold on. I think they are politicians, but you know what I don't think they deserve to be called? Honorable. Honorable. I think that they should. I think somebody has to work towards that title, honorable, because that honorable, it really not working for me, caller. It doesn't work for me.
You know the thing is, Angie, those guys making the work of a politician look very bad, Angie. I remember back in the days when you heard about a politician, you hear a man of stature, a man of service to the country. Angie, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
The reason why I do not give those guys, no, we'll not ask you a question. The reason why I do not give those guys the merit of a politician, because even a politician will try to make it look good, even though they know it's not good. You understand?
Yeah.
Angie, for over 50 years, we have been grappling with the same problems. Water inefficiency, housing crisis, the rise in crime, and whatnot. Angie, every generation had their fair share of crime.
Yeah.
And the crime that we are facing today is crime that was artificially developed. You understand?
Yeah.
The crime that we are facing, one behind the other, that it feels like a civil war.
Yeah.
It feels like
it does.
Really hits St.
It does.
Understand?
It does.
Community versus community. Party versus party. Tribalism versus tribalism. And Angie, it has exaggerated itself to a point where people are actually feeling hopeless. Mothers that raise their young girls and the young boys with nothing violence, nothing crime, getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
Young ladies in domestic violence, and the Prime Minister tried to say it is crime of passion. This is not crime of passion.
Yeah.
This is crime of the politicians creating this environment of anarchy and hatred and division and self-hate and dependency. I listen to some guys who are talking about this guy. He rides bike on the Facebook, and he saying, "Oh, St. Lucia is such a small island. We do not have no industry. We do not have oil. Obviously, the gas prices will raise. We cannot do nothing." I'm saying to myself, but that is ignorance. That is ignorance. Brother, we produce at 2 Nobel laureates at 258 square miles. We are the fastest women in the world at 258 square miles.
Yeah.
We are the biggest entrepreneur at 258 square miles, which is Reno Kajada.
Yeah, in the ACS. In fact, he's taken over St. Lucia, and do you know he's taking over Grenada as well?
Well, Angie, this is our cowboy. This is our own Muslim. And if he could do it,
Sheik, our Sheik, yes. Sheik, we need to put we need to put respect on the gentleman's name. We need to call him Sheik Reno, because he has proven it. He's not like the honorables. He actually went out there and he's getting it done. I saw a post from Grenada. On Facebook. A Grenadian person is saying, "Why is Reno Kajada being given so many projects in Grenada? Do the politicians in Grenada have shares
Well,
in CIE. And I'm saying,
they don't
wow.
have the capacity.
I'm saying to myself, wow, so St. Lucia was too small for him. I heard Reno himself say on a documentary that the best thing Alan Chasney did for him was to tell him that he couldn't get a job in St. Lucia. And he said, the man is my friend. What he was saying to me is not that he would not give me a job. What he was saying to me is that I was too big for St. Lucia. I had to start casting my net wider. So he's conquered St. Lucia, and now he's going to conquer Grenada. You know what? Forget Sheik. Let's call this man Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great the Second.
No, Reno the Great. Reno the Great.
Reno the Great, because he sees and he conquers.
Rise from the office of Forest there.
Yep.
Rise to become the Sheik of St. Lucia.
Yes,
and
the
to
Sheik.
become the Shah of the Caribbean. You
That's
understand?
right. That's
so
right.
he gave me the motivation. Now my point is, Angie, I don't want to. You know, I don't like to straight because I just lose my channel for. But
That's right. That's right. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
The reason why I called you to tell me that, Angie, you see, but 10 years to forget our history, and the Labour Party have exaggerated on that for us to really forget our history and where we're coming from as a people, a resilient people we are. You understand? To end up in a situation like we are today. And like I always will tell you, Angie, it is not by chance that we are in this situation today.
That's
It is
true.
years of destructive politics, years of anarchy, years of neglect, years of turning our back on the communities and whatnot. You understand? So my point is, Angie, I wouldn't call those guys politicians today, Angie. I would call those guys crooks, as they rightfully are. You understand?
Yeah.
Because nothing can ever happen or go under the sun, Angie, without people in power helping to facilitate those actions that
Right.
are being taken care
Right.
of and being taken across the island.
Yep.
You understand?
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, I, like I told you, I have my private. Well, I started by myself. My boycotting of solution companies.
Yeah.
And I also started going around and telling people to also look at where we are today. And where do we see ourselves tomorrow? A young lady made, I don't know what was the altercation. I heard this morning a young lady get a headshot in a headshot.
Yeah, well, actually, according to the fire service, we thought it was one shot, but according to the fire service, she was shot multiple times. But thankfully, she is still alive. We don't know for how long because she is currently in critical condition at the OKEU hospital, but our thoughts and prayers are with her.
That's one as well, Angie. But it wasn't even so long ago. We have noticed. Angie, you heard of the young man they killed in the house, and they said he was stabbed to death and whatnot.
Yes, I heard about that, but I haven't heard much information about that. It was quietly covered up, but I'm hearing rumors. I think they say that he was homosexual, but I don't think that is any reason to cover up whatever he's going through. I don't even recall the fire service sending a report on that incident.
You know that incident was they tried their best to silence that incident, Angie, and reports are saying that it was, like the Prime Minister said, it was a passion.
A crime of passion.
That was happening there.
Yeah.
But you know, the Christians who are listening to my voice, and the Christians who are listening to what I'm saying here, that is where the hypocrisy starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Philip J.P. and his administration in his last administration passed the law that burglary is legal now.
Yep.
Remember that then?
Yes.
So why, when they have a passion of that sort, like he said, was a passion crime with it is another domestic violence. You understand?
Yeah.
But it is not a domestic violence pertaining man and woman, but it's a domestic violence pertaining allegedly man and man.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Yeah.
But they try to suffocate it to not to make it reach the areas of the solution masses,
Mm-hmm.
which is predominantly Christians
Yeah, that's right.
and Muslims. and some non-believers.
Right.
The Muslim community wouldn't support that. The Christian community wouldn't support that. Now, I myself, Angie, that's not my place to support or not to support. It is not me who pass the laws.
Right.
My job is to bring the truth to light.
Yeah.
And if it's that thing that happened in that house, the Prime Minister and his administration have the duty to come out and say, yes, that happened, but also that can happen because we passed the law of buggery.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
That is the situation we are finding ourselves in as a country. A country that is built on lies, deception, fantasies, addiction, drugs addiction, a lot of cocaine use, a lot of synthetic use. You understand?
Yeah.
We're a country now. We reached to a point where our youth have lost their direction. The young girls nowadays from 11, it has been happening for a very long time, but it has accelerated.
Yeah.
We have a AIDS problem in the country.
Yep.
You understand? We have a cancer problem. We have a lot of chronic diseases that is plaguing our nation. You understand?
Yep.
And if we're going to continue talking about those problems, Angie, then in a few years to come, we'll have no problems to talk about. Because they don't have nobody to talk about those problems, Angie. Because you know why? We keep on trying to blame everybody but ourselves as citizens who have the power to vote, who have the power to speak up, who have the power to protest, who have the power to know right from wrong.
Yep.
You understand?
That's why I said the buck stops with us.
It always starts with us. And even if, Angie, it might feel right, for example, excessive alcoholism, excess in the party, because that is what they're trying to always keep the masses always drugged out and high
and subjugated.
And subjugated. In other words, Angie, you know the tribalism with the communities. For example, different communities are war with each other, like real war. This is not throwing stones or bottles. This is actually bullets flying at each other, and mothers getting headshots, women getting headshots in the crossfire, domestic violence, people using guns and those different things. You see, Angie, a lot of people might say, okay, let us stop the guns from coming in the country. Let us stop the guns from coming in the country. Angie, if the guns not coming in the country, the same set of people will be using knives. There will be stones. They'll be using different forms. It's just the gun is not easy access. You don't easily get access to a gun.
It's more impactful.
If you have access to it, then people will use it faster because it makes the job easier.
Yeah.
You understand? For example, if we didn't have access to guns, and you think they will not still have a high crime rate? Let's just put the guns aside. With the mentality that St. Lucia is in today, you think that they will not get another form of weapon to do what they're supposed to do?
Caller, I always say, where there's a will, you will find a way. So yes, I do believe we will find a way.
The gun is not killing people, you know.
It's the
people that taking up the gun to kill somebody.
That's right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's our problem in St. Lucia. We always look for, okay, let's bring the guns. Okay, then let's bring the guns. Let us tell the Prime Minister then to put all everything on the ports and to try and block the guns from coming in. Right? So that's not working. So let us blame the parents. Okay, the parents because of that parents the children have that situation. Okay, that's not working. Let us blame the police because the police. Okay, that's not working. That is what we're doing every day, Angie. But the problem is the environment. The communities have become segregated.
Yeah.
It's not just because of the politics and those different things, but it is the politicians and businessmen and people in our society who are facilitating it. Now the facilitation of crime is not basically like the politicians giving them guns or they're selling drugs or anything.
They're just creating an enabling environment for crime.
The environment, the broken housing, the incest, the fathers who are jail, and the stepfathers touching the daughters, the fathers who are touching their children, and it is a you know what is a bouillon?
Yeah.
When you mix all those different food together, you get a bouillon.
Yep.
Well, it is not a bouillon. It is a, you know those bouillon when you leave it, when you just forget it overnight, and then it don't turn already.
It's a découché.
découché spoil that going on in St. Lucia, the Angie. You
Yeah.
understand? So we want to blame the guns. The guns do not pick up themselves and kill people.
Yeah.
We want to blame the mothers. The mothers do not just stay and raise a monster, right?
Yeah.
We want to blame the teachers. The teachers' job is to teach the children the curriculum they give them. You understand?
Yeah.
That is why I told you the guys we have elected have known the problem for years after years, and they're not qualified to be politicians anymore.
Yeah.
Because you know they're genuinely, like if I look at our mock parliament and those children and those young people who are participating in our political cycle and getting to understand our Westminster system.
Yeah.
They're genuinely good people who actually want to give service to the country. But when they say, hey boy, you want to be a politician, first thing you think of, all right, let us go, oh boy, you want to come and take the country money, boy, you want to come and do this and different things. So Andrew, what I'm trying to tell you, those guys, we're not going to class them as politicians anymore. We're going to class them as, like, I'm going to say crooks. You might say non-honorable men, and whatever, but let us leave the word politician reserved for the next generation of politicians who actually want to make a difference in the country, but not come there to just seek wealth and not come there to cause more division and more hate. Because, Philip J. said he's not going to be there after 40 years. And, he already put his daughter in a position at CIP. Getting, but when she just got the job, she was getting only $6,000 a month.
Only, he said only.
For somebody that just started. And so, in other words, his family, himself, and his friends, the FFF, the French family of foreigners, they're all going to be represented for the next 30 to 40 years. You understand? That is something each Labour Party guy I know for a fact that is in there and working very tirelessly every day so that they can make sure that their friends, themselves, their friends, their families are fully covered. Just like Caribbean Metal.
Yep.
Got and the solution politics got those guys fully covered. You understand? So
Can we call them election winners and not call them neither honorable nor politician? Let's just call them election winners.
They never won the last election, and my point of view, and I know that.
Yeah.
You understand? If you look at in Central Castries, Rush maybe won by Rush maybe had 1,200 votes,
Yeah.
But they put the numbers. We saw in the beginning, Rush was leading by 600 votes. All of a sudden, the system went down, and it shows Richard Frederick leading. So for me personally, when I saw this, and all the things that Alan Shaftney came out with, the $110 million, plus the private donors who helped those guys, I knew for a fact that the election was a bunch of desperate men who do by any means necessary to win that election because they would have too much to lose if we had from the government. You understand? So in other words, they were very desperate and they knew what was at odds if they had lost.
Yeah.
So they took a gamble. And they won.
Yeah.
And it is us now to see through that. So the point is, Angie, I personally do call those guys politicians. They're crooks to me, and they will always be crooks. No matter what they do or try to say, they're in those guys. When it comes to tyrants will reign forever, Angie.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter how long a tyrant will never reign forever. And we see that counts last time when it comes to, for example, Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
One thing that the situation we are in St. Lucia, it kind of reminds me of the build-up to World War II. The build-up to World War II was basically, they had 1946, they had the global financial crash, which is the, I forgot the name of it, But it was when all the entire world was, beg your pardon?
The Great Depression.
The Great Depression. And Angie, the world is not facing a depression, It is an artificially created depression in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Just like Philip JP artificially created the 5 levy when he added all those different things. So all what is happening in St. Lucia, it was artificially created.
Yeah.
You understand? Just like when the economy collapsed in 2023, he artificially said, all right, let us put let us cap gas at $16. Let us put a 2.5 levy so that and let us lie about the tourism figures the IMF had to come and say those figures were lies. Honestly, no. All what those guys was doing was to cover up the great blunder they did by stopping all those by stopping all those capital projects across the island and trying to place deep positions. And what that did was send thousands of solution home, disrupt the economy, tear up the economy, and they tried to rebuild the economy with other solid foundation. But when they realized that because remember, they came inside with a lot of hate and anger in 2016, you know.
Yep.
When Kenyan lost to Island Shasta, it was it was like it was a tsunami of hate that built up engine of momentum, which took him online with this kind of help you and all the people over the years that didn't, you understand, they form a group of hate.
Yeah.
When they actually won now, they had no choice but to carry on and to do what they're supposed to do. So they say, all right, all those contracts and all those things they had from the Orange Grove Plaza. Then you hear about the Grocery Highway. Then you hear about Tintu. Then you hear about the airport, Angie. All those things were based on hatred, you know. And after they later, they have not one UWP, there is a special prosecutor, not one minister from the UWP side and the Agriculture Administration has been arrested or tried or been brought to in front of a tribunal.
Yeah.
You understand? So my point is, what I'm trying to get at is that when those guys entered with hate, they just basically kicked themselves in the foot. And when they realized they kicked themselves in the foot, and they were just falling off a cliff, and happily that cliff had a piece of root that they hold on to, and that is when they put up themselves on a small edge on a small rock on the edge of the cliff. That's when they raise the gas prices artificially, and they raise the 2.5 levy artificially to make the economy look like the economy was doing something.
Yeah.
And then in 2026, we realized that it was all a lie. It was all a sham. And now they are stuck. Now we get Richard Frederick being Minister of Infrastructure in town watching roads. Now we get Sean Edward, who was Minister of Education, now Minister of Infrastructure. And that one being, and then they put a girl that never know about agriculture to become Agriculture Minister. And then they create an artificial Ministry of what's it called? Disability. That to be that guy.
Yeah.
So it is all illusion. On top of that, it is layers of illusions. So you cannot, you know how onion, when you peel an onion, they just have layers.
I think, Caller, when I look at this administration, you know what I notice they're doing? And you might agree with me if you look at it closer. I think Philip J. Pierre has given up on leading the country and is simply concentrating on paying and ensuring that his ministers are taken care of. Because if you look at it, Joaquin Henry, during the Alan Shastney administration, was a senator. Then, during the last administration, he was a minister. Now, think about it. When you serve 2 terms in the parliament or in the government, then you are eligible for pension. So that one, okay, as he finished serving his 2 terms, they kicked him out. Now we're seeing Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, who during the last term was a minister, but this term was kicked out and sent to the Senate. So her 2 terms are intact. You have Alison Jha, this is her 2nd term in the Senate, so she is covered. You have Kenson Kazimi, that's his 2nd term, so he's covered. Well, you know, Philip J. Pierre, Stephenson King, Richard Frederick, all of these guys have been covered for quite some time. Sean Edward, Alva, all of them. All they're doing, and that's why they're putting this minister in the Prime Minister's office and in the Senate. So they're already opening the door for her to serve her 2 terms and then for her to be covered. And if you look at it,
that is a good observation, Angie. And
they're covering they've given up on ruling, they've given up on governing, and what they are doing now is simply setting up themselves, securing themselves. They're all working on their exit strategy. Because that's what you do when you're working on your exit strategy. You know that you're not going to be there for long, so you're going to build a foundation so that for later on, you are covered. Look at it well, people. Look at it well. all of these ministers and well-wishers and inner, how do you call them, the inner circle, they are being covered, their butts are being covered. And for the solution people, WPC, Wepuko.
And I do know one thing I will say in closing, because I know time is running out.
Yeah.
And that is a great observation, Angie. But one thing I will say, Angie, is that is the first group of people, or how can I say, a business that they for 50 years they have failed in terms of running the business of the people.
Mm-hmm.
They have failed and still get a salary for over 50 years. And Kenny Anthony came in and put in that two terms scenario that we are seeing today. And that is why I told you it is governance should be based on performance. How much you have performed in the ministry that you have given, how much lives that you have uplifted from poverty, how much jobs you have created, how much environments that you have enabled so that people can strive in those environments. That is what we should be. That is what it should be based on. You understand? But the Labour Party has turned this politics into a circus based on how well you can talk and how well you can lie, and how well you can manipulate the people, and that is how you're going to be paid in the Labour Party.
Yeah.
You understand?
I agree.
So we don't united with this party, and the solution massive is basically seeing what is happening. But when we take to the streets, not just in talking, but in decisive action.
Yeah.
You understand? Action that can cause ripple effects.
Are you there?
Can transform in change.
Yeah.
And not any kind of change, but for the greater good for our country. And when we hold politicians accountable for the atrocities that they have created, the environment where thousands of people have died over the years because of their bad policies, their lies, and trickery towards the nation. One day, Angie, one day, because this country is just 47 years old. America is already 207 years old.
Yeah.
History have a way of always repeating itself. And one day, those guys will be brought in front of a tribunal. Either side, once you go against the people, you will be brought to a tribunal. And Angie, if I'm alive, I will see that happen. By the grace of God, have a blessed one.
You as well, caller. Thank you for that. Guys, if you look at it very closely, you're going to see that my observations are spot on. These guys, they're not governing anymore. They're working on their exit strategy. Philip JPN knows there's nowhere else to go but down. Back to the Facebook platform, somebody says Sean Edward has done nothing for Dennery North after representing for 4 terms. Lucians definitely don't like development, and they are all behaving like a bunch of idioms. I don't think that person wanted to say idiom, but thank you to how do they call it? Autocorrect. Somebody says, to be a better living person in St. Lucia, just move the SLP in government and you will see Mr. Shas call the shots to have a by-election for them to feel and know that we deserve a better St. Lucia. Somebody says, we have a corruption in face station. Another says, what about monkeys? I understand in the north of the island where people are having problems with monkeys. I don't know about that. I don't know St. Lucians having any monkeys, St. Lucia having any monkeys, but maybe that's a new thing. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Watching. I'm watching. I'm afraid to go to the pumps.
You're afraid?
I'm afraid to go to the pumps for gas in my vehicle.
Wow.
When I went to get my electricity bill, I was afraid to hear how much it was.
Wow.
So it looks like I'm going to be having to, God forbid, that this continues for much longer. Because, oh shoot, that's my noise. Sorry about that. Because, Angie, it's just not making sense. It's not making sense. And, you know, the other person who just called, the young man who just called, this young man is very knowledgeable because, I mean, you have a wealth of knowledge, I can tell you that. of a tribunal down the road somewhere in the future. And it must happen,
It must.
Angie, it must happen. We must have a tribunal to try these people who literally sold thousands and thousands of St. Lucian passports, collected monies for it, and we have no idea how much money has been collected from the sales of passport, how much the country, how many passports have been sold.
Yeah.
And that is our business to know. But we've been asking the question, and we've been given tails here and tails there, and figure it out for yourself kind of business, because they're giving us an unfinished report, showing a report that is incomplete, doesn't have all the figures that is necessary. A large number of St. Lucians are trying to find out the status of CIP passport sales. And to this day, from 2021 to 2026, something that we should know annually on a yearly basis should be tabled in the Parliament, openly for all of us to see, has been hidden or messed, it's misinformation or disinformation, but it's not the correct information. All of the information is not there.
And also, would you believe that the report that they tabled in the Parliament, part of that report is asking for the report, is saying that the auditors have not seen the full report from the CIP unit?
That's right. And
that is written in the report,
We sit here as St. Lucian, not looking at this and seeing how serious the seriousness behind this. They should, in other words, St. Lucians, if we had our access to our CIP monies, if our CIP monies was going through a board as it was going through before, we would know exactly how much money was collected from passport sales, how much money was given to the developer, because all the money is not the developers. The developer was supposed to get a certain amount of money, and the balance of the money is a percentage of what that development would cost, is what the developers were supposed to get. And all the rest of that money, the balance was supposed to come into St. Lucia to the CIP board.
Well, caller, hold on, I need to clarify. What you're describing is the agreement put in place by Alan Shastney. You would recall that when this new administration came in, this was revisited and it was changed significantly, giving the developers the lion's share of the revenue raised, and even in some cases a commission.
Angie, have we seen anything in writing to back that up?
Oh yes, I got hold of the updated. I was lucky enough to get my hands on the contracts, the ones that were signed by the Alan Shastney administration, and the revisited contracts from the new administration. I actually took, hold on, caller, let me finish. I actually took them to a lawyer and had them explain to me in great detail. But then they came and they said that they cancelled all of these contracts. So we don't even know what's going on.
So what's the new contract? Thank you very much, because I was going to remind you that there was a cancellation of certain contracts when the US and the UK came down in our tail.
But now we have no idea what's going on. We have no idea what's going on right now. We don't know if we still have a CIP. We just don't know what's going on. We know nothing at this
We were
point.
not following protocols set by them, and so we were giving everybody, including criminals, selling passports to criminal elements, etc., and giving them way into their countries. So they had given them a timeline to fix that up. They did not fix it. However, lastminute.com, when they really came down on us and said, okay, visa now, and this and that, we're going to put some restrictions on y'all, right? They now decided to scrap all of it and come up with new contracts. But how do we know what is in that new contract? Why hasn't that been told to us? It's our patrimony being sold in the form of a St. Lucia passport.
Well,
okay. So right now, all that money is the billions of dollars we've been missing from St. Lucia from the sale of the passports could have cushioned the blow of the rise of yet another increase in fuel prices when it is really, when the government has taken so much money from us for keeping fuel prices at $16.50, $16.75, $17, $17.95, $17.50 from 2021 to 2026. And then you go back to $17 again, but in disguise, $16.95. That's $17.
$16.75, caller.
$16.75. What does 25 cents buy for you, Angie?
Well, it can't buy me a bread anymore, unfortunately.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
But I think it can buy me I don't know, 40 cents for a sweet. Sorry, caller, I'm stumped. I can't help you there.
Okay, so 25 cents can buy you a plastic bag in the supermarket to probably tie around your face, tighten and strangle yourself.
That's very dire, caller. That's quite dire.
And I don't mean to tell anybody to do that, but this is how people are starting to feel in this country. Choked. So I'm drawing reference to them literally choking us, giving us 25 cents to buy the bag.
Wow.
Now, today we had Junior Calypso. There were some very good songs, because I watched part of it. There were some very good songs performed by some very good kids. By the schools.
And I heard my alma mater won. Quite proud. Corinth Secondary School. Kudos to you.
Congratulations to them with a good song too.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something, there were some songs that touched the bosom of the beast. Like that touched the Ministry of Education for sure. And that was a proper song, and that song did not place. I don't mean to say school and all of that, but people can put two and two together. That song did not place. But then you had a song sung by someone that actually mentioned certain girls from certain schools going to a certain establishment, purchasing food, and ending up at VG. And that song got first place. So the songs that won were the party songs. Okay, let's fet down, a hot fet or whatever, party. But the songs with the message did not win. So the songs with the message did not win. Or did not place.
Interesting.
And I looked at that, and I looked at the behavior of the girls, the boys on the field, and we are already inculcating in those kids. There was a song called Pressure, and releasing the pressure is possibly to fit. Do you understand? Now, I'm not saying it's not a good song, but then why don't they pray? Why don't they go to church? Well, do you understand? And people may be thinking, government really making a lot of this. Eh? A lot has to be made of this.
Yeah.
Because we see in our current status in St. Lucia, the only things that are given priority in this country, obvious priority, and millions of dollars, they find millions of dollars to put into these things or activities are feds. Feds, carnival, jazz, Junior Creole, even Junior Calypso, everything having Calypso finals, tents, Calypso tents, this, that. A lot of money is being injected into these things. However, no song that that is speaking against and speaking up to what the lack of principles, the lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Virtues, the lack of discipline. These songs do not place. I found it very strange.
Not strange, instructive. It's not strange, it's instructive. It's instructive.
Right. The trend is so much that once you criticize, constructive criticism as that, you do not place. I've seen it in Calypso finals, I've seen it in Soca finals, I have seen it in the past few years. It is now even in our junior Calypso. And that to me is going far.
Yep.
So now our children, the only thing they want to do, because it's being inculcated, is fact. Fact to fact to fact to fact to fact. No proper road networks, no proper health care, or no health care. No new jobs created. As a matter of fact, businesses are closing down. Small businesses are closing down right now.
Yep.
The Ministry of Education has passed the law, and the burglary law was taken off our books, so people can do what they want.
Yeah.
The young man was talking about that. Our children have some laws there that they can choose their sex, that they can do certain things that they were never able to do in the past. And that has been written in law in St. Lucia without parents, teachers, principals, whoever, not even realizing that. Or the principals realized but were too afraid to open their mouths and tell the parents because they know they would be fired. Okay. So is that what we're doing now?
Apparently.
That's all that matters in St. Lucia? And I was telling you that CIP money, if we had it, you know how many roads it could fix? You know how many hospitals it could build? With fully equipped hospitals, that is? You know how many international airports it could do? You know how many new schools could, and new curriculums and new this and that could have been done? You know how many new roads network? You know that we would not be paying more for gas prices because obviously we'd be able to cushion that blow. Although Philip JPS should cushion the blow because he overcharges for fuel in St. Lucia from 2021 to 2026.
But
so he should not have even risen fuel. Sorry?
You know he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
No, he's not. But what the domino effect now is going to raise the cost of living further. And it's at its highest we've ever seen it. I need to tell St. Lucians one more thing. Remember Kenny Anthony? Remember Kenny Anthony as a prime minister, what he did? Remember Kenny Anthony put 15% VAT in our tails? Remember Kenny Anthony put what percent levy for
The environmental levy?
Of
the 10%. 10%, yeah.
He put an
Dam
environmental levy
fee.
in our tails. Then he put the levy for desilting the dam, the John Compton Dam in our tails, that brought up our water bills by twice the amount. I'm making that up. Then there was an increase. Then there was an increase in bus fare. Then there was an increase in license fees. An increase in everything you could possibly think of was Kenny Anthony's style of governance. Solutions were squeezed so much that when we had that 2016 election, when they saw the state of what Kenny had done to them, and that they didn't have money to buy food and pay bills and send their children to school and live at least a little bit of comfort in a little bit of a comfort zone. They had to vote them out. They had to vote them out. It is the SLP regime who did it to your solutions.
And they're doing it
today,
again.
2021, you have voted these same people back in, same policies back in. The exact same policies, increase this, put in a new tax, increase this by how much, increase water, increase electricity, increase this, increase gas, transportation fees gonna go up. Your women did this in 2026. Y'all give it double whammy again, like y'all did with Kenny. Like they did with Kenny. And don't expect the policies to play out. Now, on the killing spree, and I say killing, I'm being raw. Another young lady was murdered in Bois-de-Range last night.
No, she wasn't murdered. She was shot. She is still alive, and she is in critical condition at the hospital.
Anybody knows what happened?
Not yet. There is no information as yet. Police are investigating, and if police are investigating, they're not going to release any information just yet.
So the young lady was shot in a car at her home?
We don't, like I said, no information has been released as yet.
So we just know somebody was shot. We don't know if the person was shot on the road.
We don't know.
We don't know if the person was shot at their home. We don't know if the person was shot in a car. We don't know. We don't know anything. We just know somebody was shot and is in critical condition.
Yes, basically.
This is not. This is habit now. This is a habit now. This is norm. I will never accept this as normal. But this seemed to be the norm in St. Lucia. Whilst people go about their merry way, young women are getting shot. Young women are being killed. And what do we hear from the Prime Minister? Did somebody say that he said it was crime of passion or something? Was it?
No, that was last week on Monday. He was speaking about that. He was speaking about the Joy St. Omer situation. He says it's wrong to blame the government for crimes of passion. He was speaking in response to the press conference held by the opposition, when they said that the crimes that are happening in St. Lucia, the reason why these things are happening is because the government is not doing their jobs in providing policies that will keep our streets safe. And he said it was distasteful to blame the government for crimes of passion.
And they're right in saying so. Policies to keep our streets safe. Again, we go back to the K9 unit on the ports and a working scanner and we need to stop those guns from coming in.
Yeah.
Did this guy have a licensed firearm? That's one of the questions we haven't even had answered.
Yeah.
The guy who shot Joy, did he have a licensed firearm, or was it an illegal weapon? Do you see what I'm saying?
I see.
When you come and you undo certain things that were done by the last administration, such as removing the dogs from the pot that can sniff any and everything because they're police dogs. For 2 long years, what did you expect would come into the country? Gold and diamonds and sweets and food, and that's all? That's what you expected would come into this country?
Well, caller, we're seeing the
Just
fruits.
before that. Sorry?
We're seeing the fruits. So
Yeah, when just before he came into office, there was a container of drugs found on a property of a business place in the north. So, if you had seen that, why would you have removed the sniffer dogs, the police dogs on the port? Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
There was proof that this was happening in St. Lucia already. And Mr. came and he removed the canine unit. According to him, they say I disbanded the dog. I disbanded it. Disbanded means to take out. So what did you do? Didn't you take it out? We have to be, when the last administration was in office and there was a killing or shooting or whatever, what was Pierre and them doing? What were the people who are sitting in office today, what were they doing? They were up in arms.
Yep.
They were up in arms, and they would tell you, oh, they say don't politicize crime. They say that but the government is responsible. All of a sudden, now that you're in government, the government is no longer responsible for the crime rate in the island, for the safety of the people who paying you more taxes. Taxes they can't afford to pay. They're paying you, but they're not receiving anything in return for the taxes. Instead, we see St. Lucia cruise spots being formed with a handful of people that known by the government. I'm saying as it is,
Yeah.
We don't know who the directors are. We're not sure. We're hearing a minister saying we are building a new market for them. We are building a new arcade, new facilities for them. And then he says St. Lucia Cruise Ports and St. Lucia, but he says we. So who are we? What is going on? Nepotism around. When we look in St. Lucia, it's like the same person sitting in the same chair, in different chairs, heading different things 10 times.
Well, caller, that is how it is, but unfortunately, we're going to have to end this right now. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Time
Thank
passed.
you. Thank you.
Our time is up. Thank you. We have so much to deal with in this small country of ours. Guys, our time is up. Let's let us go to the Facebook platform. Let me read some of these comments because we really need to wrap up. So somebody's saying, Angie, good day. With all that is being said, we need the Ministry of Health and its team to let us know how to protect ourselves and our children from snakes all over St. Lucia. St. Lucia needs help. All they do is have party, drink rum, and eat chicken. Lord help us. Well, the Ministry of Health, if you ask them, will tell you that they have provided anti-venom, not vaccines, anti-venom for snake bites free of charge. So, yeah, that's how you protect yourself. Somebody says the people need to stop comparing St. Lucia with other countries. Stop being colorblind. Face the facts and work together as a people. Politicians are limited. They are there for their pockets and to keep the people divided so they can continue to prosper. It's time St. Lucians look out for one another in the little ways they can stop the hate and spread more love. Sound advice from one of our listeners here. Somebody says, Angie, today a lady told a man in Creole, you vote for Labour, why are you complaining? Y'all got the government y'all voted for. The flubbos are the only ones who have to complain because they didn't vote for what's happening in this country. Keep quiet, you voted Labour and now Labour giving you licks. Now you're vexed and complaining more than flubbos. Imagine hearing this in Creole, Angie. I had a great laugh. I think I would have had an even bigger laugh if I was there. Somebody says no one is safe. Another one says, wow, current secondary school want the junior secondary school soca competition. Somebody says it's not working for me either, Angie, and that is in reference to calling these politicians honorable. Another says 6 months now and the St. Jude's Hospital has not opened even after the grand ceremony. Somebody says while Reno is not a politician, he is a corruption enabler. That's big words. Somebody saying this caller can definitely be my campaign manager. Another says, well said, the Labour government gave him $1 billion from our taxes. Somebody says election winners, when they stole the election, what do you call them? Another says, caller, you are so right. Why do you think Richard said, nobody do not say you vote for me because I wasn't at the ballot box with you? Somebody says, Angie, I checked that already long. Another says, you are spot on, Angie. Somebody else says, just after the 2021 general election, people were complaining about monkeys in the Moshi area to the Valerie Lord area. Oh, I was not aware. What was I at that time? Somebody says, caller, a 25-cent Massey bag is a toilet for a Marshall resident. Oh my goodness, harsh. Another says that's the excuses they use to protect Pierre, shaking my head. Another says Kenny also gave an increase of 100% to Wasco. He did do that, didn't he? Another individual is saying, don't y'all folks know by now our democracy is under serious threat? When politicians can buy your votes for under $300, you, the citizens, don't even have a voice in electing your own government. Speaking openly against the powers that be, you become an enemy of the state, and furthermore, intimidation and victimization will be heading your way. Another says, caller, St. Lucia is going down the drain. But the people that drink the red Kool-Aid talking about Shas, and he will never get in government again. So sad. Somebody says, Angie, this CBI is only a cesspool of corruption. Why do you think we are facing all these visa restrictions from the US, UK, Canada, and the rest of Europe? It's because the international community has been monitoring closely the lack of transparency and accountability within the program. That's it, folks, for us here on Hard Talk. We are way past our time, guys. Way past our time. I don't know why we keep... Excuse me. This Saharan dust is not making my life easy, guys. I don't know why we keep going over our time. And I'm still expecting those checks that are supposed to be in the mail. But there you have it. St. Lucia. We're going through it, guys. We are going through it. Not only do we have to deal with snake infestations, we are dealing with a cost of living crisis. Price of gas gone up. Price of electricity gone up. Price of food gone up. And facing the price of water about to go up, and we don't know if bus fares are going to take a hike as well. And to top it all off, we have a crime situation that seems to have no end in sight. What do we do? Where do we turn? How do we do it? We need help, St. Lucia. We need to come together and attempt to help ourselves. And don't forget to speak out, because that is the only way we ensure things don't pass under the table. We need to talk. We need to put it out there. We need to inform the public. Of course, there are people who are walking around with their eyes wide shut. But that doesn't mean we should just be the good men who stand idly by while evil prospers. That is not our purpose. So guys, be safe, have a wonderful weekend. If you hear gunshots, don't run in towards the gunshot. When I was in secondary school, when you heard there was a fight, you ran towards the fight to say the national word every blow that lands, but you can't do this anymore. If you hear gunshots, you lie flat on the ground, or you run in the opposite direction. But stay safe, be good, and stay vigilant. Thank you so much for joining me here on Hardtalk, guys, on Fire 107.7 FM. See you guys on Monday. Don't forget, on Monday, it's Full Disclosure with myself and Foster Chico after Hardtalk. And we're gonna be discussing all of these issues that matter. Have a great weekend. Stay vigilant. Bye-bye.